people? How's it
Nothing
going? We're here again.
Rightly in this.
It's Black and White Fright. It is the first time. It is the first episode of Black and White Fright. All black and white movies through November. You know, I started over on TikTok. Now we're finally here for the pod. And we are here to talk about. Yes. You know it. You love it. Village of the Damned.
Village of Rob Van Damned.
Yes.
I did not know this movie existed. So thank you to Mick for pointing this one in my direction. I seen the original. And I thought, or sorry, I seen the remake. I apologize.
Well,
I seen the remake. And I always thought that I never knew that there was an original to that. I thought that was just the, you know.
I seen this one twice and I seen the remake once.
Really?
Well,
I watched this a long time ago with my grandmother.
Okay.
Yeah, your mom and your grandma showed you a lot of the old classics, right?
Yeah.
That's good. You know, you should do. I would love to hear your takes on some of those. You should like record something one day, like or do something at the end of this where you pitch one of those old movies too sturdy or something.
I just have to unlock it in my memory. I had the brain that shuts years and my past completely out. So
think of the old movies, though.
It's like a file cabinet. I have to go and search through it. It'll take a while. I'll get back to you in 5 to 10 business days.
That's fair though.
Oh man, that's great.
Before we get started, though, how's everybody doing tonight on this? What's today? Thursday. Thursday evening. Thursday night, I should say. It's 8:00.
I had a day off. Watched some movies. Got some shit done around the house.
Nice.
Good day.
Did a lot of work today. More than I wanted to.
Hey. But you got a lot done.
It's true.
So you did more than you wanted to, but now you're going to have to do less. See that?
That is true. I can just chill out, watch something funny, and enjoy life.
There you go. How's it going for you, Trevor?
Oh, sorry.
It's fine.
Fine?
Yeah.
All right.
I think we can address the elephant in the room. It's been a trying week for a lot of people, but we love you, and we're glad we're all here. So let's get into some horror.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, technically sci-fi.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, but
Definitely horror sci-fi.
still a movie that had a massive influence on horror. So
Yeah, I would call it. I like the subgenre of horror sci-fi because, like, and it's to me it's so fickle.
Mm.
Like I would put the Terminator in horror sci-fi, but I would not put any of the sequels in it. Only sci-fi for the rest, and I think that's the fine line. Like this type of movie, yeah, but the remake I would definitely put in horror more than I would put in sci-fi.
Mhm.
Same thing with Alien.
The first Alien,
Yeah, because that was like
Yeah.
straight up like it was sci-fi, but it was like horror movie
Mhm.
type.
yeah, that's all I got.
See you later. Good night. Have a good one. I'm out.
Yep.
I got a
Peace
4:30
out,
to have a new segment on the show where I tell you how to survive the Village of the Damned.
Yeah, easy. You sniper them from a distance. Take out the little fuckers.
Oh my god!
Well,
I mean, yeah. Nah, dude, that's way more.
There was only 5 of them. Fuck that.
I'm
And then,
not
you know
saying
they
it's
all
not
jumped onto
necessary.
one guy and concentrated. They only can kill one person at a time.
There's 66.
No, in the world, but in that village, there was only like 5.
No, in that village there are 66.
Yeah, there's
There's 66. So why is there only a group of 5 walking around?
At least 66, if not more. I don't remember. It might
Okay,
be
never
66
mind. That
boys
village
and
is
33
fucked.
girls. I think that's like 66 boys and 33 girls.
Oh, okay.
Shit, so it's like almost
I just focus on that little group, like David. David and his crew.
Midwich
David.
Cuckoos. Yes.
David and his crew.
fucked up.
They are creepy
know all
little
that.
fuckers.
I was not
Yeah, they
paying
are.
attention well enough during this.
And I watched both of them actually very recent. I watched the other one, the remake. I keep thinking fucking original. The remake the other day, I think Friday. I just watched this one today, and I gotta tell you, I like them both, but I will say I do like the remake a little more. Not by a lot, because this one was better than I thought it was gonna be, and just little things I thought it was kind of funny with it, like the little what the hell do they call it? The mobile X-ray thing or something. The X-ray
Yeah.
van.
So one of the things that I really like is very endearing to me about this movie are the visual effects.
Mhm.
For the time, were so well done,
Mhm.
and it's not that they were unheard of. Like one that I think of that did a really good job with its visual effects and such, which actually are a lot practical, was Darby O'Gill and the Little People.
Mhm.
That's a movie I latch onto in terms of visual effects back then. And this is another one that I always sort of go to because they play it really well. The way they layer things at certain times, and kind of I really enjoy this. It's almost like when you watch Plan 9 from Outer Space, and it's a mess, right? The editing's a mess. All this, it's like this movie took a lot of what Ed Wood wanted to do and did it right. If that makes sense in terms of
This was an A-list. I mean, this basically was an A-list film. I
Yeah.
mean, you look at the actors that were involved: George Sanders, Barbara Shelley, Michael Gwynn are all heavy hitters at that time, both in the British and the U.S. Audience. This was a very popular short novella called The Midwich Cuckoos. And it was. Now, I haven't seen the Carpenter version, which I feel horrible I couldn't get time to do it. But I'm not going to be one of those people that say there are elements I do prefer to the novella, but they're very small because the adaptation is so close to the novel. It definitely, this is far from B movie territory.
Well,
Especially
I didn't mean it like that. I was trying to. I didn't associate it well because I started rambling there. So don't hold me to that. I know I look like an idiot, but I promise you.
no.
No, I'm speaking to everybody else. I promise you, I had a point. I just did not hit it.
I'm sorry I interrupted you.
No, you're good. You're good. You're good. No, I didn't convey it well. You didn't interrupt me. You're good. My apologies. I interrupted you. I apologize. I will shut up now.
Well, it's funny that I know I look like an idiot, but I know what I'm talking about.
I didn't mean that towards Trevor either. I meant that towards the audience.
Oh, listen.
It had nothing to do with Trevor.
With my whole
because I mentioned somebody signing in
from a couple of weeks ago. That wasn't towards Trevor either. That was towards the movie. That was towards the damn movie. Oh.
Yeah, no, but you're 100% right. The way this movie is filmed, like that's why I was saying, like comparing it to the lower budget that would sort of hold similar premises in a way. Like this is a well written script. So yeah, it hits on all cylinders, like you were saying. I just comparing it to ideas from it feels like there were some ideas that were maybe taken from a lot of those B movies, for this, in terms of the horror and sci-fi in conveying certain things. So I need to take this hat off because I look like you. That joke did not land. And that's
I agree with you 100% there, Mick. And it's very interesting when you look at sci-fi as it develops in the time of the beginning of the Cold War, and post Hiroshima and Nagasaki. You have a lot of science fiction films that are creatures that are like mantises or tarantulas, or they're invading, and science does have a certain element to do with it, but it's almost always blatant propaganda in which, don't worry, the military will have your back, no matter what, we're gonna. And some of this, I mean, this, it's not good to generalize because you can always find many, that don't. But a lot of the British sci-fi, Day of the Triffids, Village of the Damned, the Quatermass films, Um, uh, there's a whole list. So there's this weird difference in the fact that it is more of a fear of the idea of being. I mean, number one, I think this film hit very much in the novella hit very much because in itself it's fear of colonization from the country that colonized the most people in the world, and at this time was also losing a lot of its colonies. So just that in itself, which is a very small element of the theme, I think makes this film and a lot of British science fiction films very different than their US counterparts. Um, this is also a very interesting film in the fact that it is a science fiction film that is also a body horror. The novella does a much better job building up Athea um, as a strong character. She actually has a meeting in the novella with all of the women who have been impregnated after. Well, before we say so, the film and the book start out with this 2 mile radius around the town of Midwich that suddenly just goes blank. Like nobody can get into it. Telephone lines are down. There's no, it's like it doesn't exist. And those people who try to get in don't come back out. It isn't until actually the Alan character, by mistake, discovers that at that point in time, if you cross the line, you automatically became you went unconscious. So you start the film with this. Okay, we don't know what it is, and that in itself is a very scary thing about this film. And you have to look at the audience the film was made for. Is it's you wake up and you're the women in the town are impregnated. Eventually, they have children that have special powers. The book does a better job of painting the female element of it. The movie is by far more the masculine side of things, which was one of my downfalls about the movie. But that's yeah.
I like your take on that too, and excuse me, I'm so sorry. But also, why am I so far away? I'm an idiot. I didn't even move my mic, so I apologize for anybody who couldn't hear my stupidity earlier. So, like talking the way, kind of how you talk about the movie and equating it to this, like, but then saying how British it is, kind of leads me back to a lot of like the horror that the Brits went through. That was recognizable to them even in the 60s. Like that, what was it? That smog that lived there for like a year or two or something. Even a little bit earlier than that, like the bombings and such. Like, so waking up to something like completely throwing you off. Like, I can't even imagine in Britain how this landed. I listen.
Get attacked.
I am not doing well. I am not doing well. This was a bad idea. So I apologize. I swear to God, I know what I'm talking about. I'm pretty good at this, people. So I can't even imagine for the time 1960, this movie coming out and having that aspect of like waking up and it's just like, what is going on? That had to land so well in Britain.
Well, it's funny because there are several films that use that trope. And John Wyndham, who wrote Villains of the Damned, Midwich Cuckoos, then eventually went on to write, well, he also wrote Day of the Triffids. And Day of the Triffids is very similar in the fact that there's something that happens. And after this, everything changes. And in Triffids, it is a sudden like meteor shower that they assume the entire world can see, and yes, probably the entire world can see. Um, Everybody who looked at the meteor shower at all wake up the next day blind.
Hmm.
So you have a majority of your population that are blind, and only random people who can function. The film also is about these, and novel is about these creatures called triffids that, in the movie they're more of like, invaders, but they're just this weird uh species of plant that suddenly start to, bloom and then start killing people. And basically a lot of that is not a big problem because most of the people are blind. So, and then you look at a film like The Earth Dies Screaming. That's another one where it's like everything's fine and then boom, there's an invasion, and a huge part of the country is also out. So it's a trope in several of them.
But
uh,
I would actually hard argue that this is one of the first movies to really help build that trope, because
oh yeah.
American movies still, even after this movie, because even when you watch the remake, there still has to be this. American movies can never just fucking cut into. It's almost like we always have to have the build up, like we always have to have this mystery. We like what's a good Jaws is a good example of that. Like, like it's like little things keep happening here and they have to build up to what they're dealing with. That's why I like this movie, and I think this helped build a lot of tropes, because I can't think of too much before this that exists. But I can think of, like, look at Netflix has a whole thing about like this. Like was it the Bird Box and all this other stuff where like something people wake up into all of a sudden. What's the alien one with
The alien one.
the one where they can't talk or make any sounds?
Oh, Quiet Place.
Oh,
Quiet
okay.
I would put that in
But
this
28 Days
category.
Later did the same thing pretty much.
Yeah. So I mean, I would put these in like that sort of category where it's like, well, no, 28 Days Later. The only thing I'll say about that, like, I would say the sequel more so, because the first one, he's still like, it kicks off like it's happened, but he still has to like solve the mystery and like get to places before he figures out there's zombies, rage zombies everywhere, which I love. I still love that movie, but like it still is like, I like this. I like where it's like, man, you go to work one day and it just like shit starts. Out of nowhere. It really feels like this is one of the original movies to do that effectively.
Was that one movie where people wake up, they were just walking, and all of a sudden people are just like falling from the sky?
Happening. Don't bring that one up. We don't talk about
that's why I couldn't remember it, because it wasn't that good of a movie. But it was the same situation. It's like something just happens, and you're like, what the fuck?
You know, it was a cool. You ever see The Vanishing on 7th Street?
Yes.
No.
There's a cool shot in that, because like it's just people vanish, like when it's almost like a rapture, like just people just vanish, right? And so it's about the people who are kind of left over. Hayden Christensen stars in this, and when I saw this is the first movie I saw. I was like, this motherfucker can act. I was like, screw Star Wars, like this dude can act. That was George Lucas all the way. Because then I saw Life as a House, and it's just like, poof, he could act as a kid too. So, long story short, to not talk about the movie that we're talking about, yeah, never mind. Let's just talk about Village of the Damned. I don't want to go off on tangents tonight. Stop getting me all riled.
I was wondering where this tangent was going.
I do, but I don't want to go there now. I want to talk about.
It kind of ties into how this is, in a sense.
No, I was definitely going a different route. It tied into the themes.
Well, yeah, the themes of the film.
But it doesn't really, like, there are some dots I'm connecting, and I feel stupid about it, so I'm just gonna leave it. I don't want to like push theories and shit like that.
So doesn't want to push his agenda on us.
So another symbolism I noticed
right now.
Another symbolism I noticed in this movie is, as the kids are all blonde, white.
Yep. What that means? Bad kids.
Yeah, you had to do it. You had to do it, James.
Oh shit! I should have called myself sturdy minus color tonight.
Why did you have to fucking?
Then they had like the military blow up a village already with them in it. So I'm like, okay, there's the military, there's the white blondes, like the Germans. You know?
Well, you know, that was actually very interesting. You brought up about that. One of the things that really first like gets you in the fact that this is definitely a science fiction film is when they discuss the fact that this kind of thing has been happening and kept quiet because it's been very small, and it automatically really froze your headspace once they especially start referring to things like figuring out they have a hive mind, that it is an invasion narrative. So it's not what it's most famous for, which is being the quintessential first killer kid film or kids film, is that it's a very smart science fiction film that is really focused on this small town, and how it reacts to things that it has no control of and no understanding, and it can't so
Yeah.
there's probably a point there, but I have no idea.
Probably a point there, but
A scene I was shocked in this movie though, just because it's from the 60s, I couldn't remember. I was like, oh shit, they did this back then? It's the scene where the kid made the guy shoot himself. I was like, damn. I was like, okay. They crossed the line. They did that shit in the film? Okay.
they didn't show it though. They just
No, they did not show it, but
oh.
I just didn't remember watching an old movie like that and
I'm
seeing
surprised
it.
that got by. That might have been something that in the original, like this theatrical cut, might not have been in there as completely.
Oh, okay.
That was for the time period, and also British film. That was pretty intense.
Yeah.
What I know is that the fact that this movie's pretty fucking dark. They want to drop a nuclear bomb.
It's dark, yeah.
They want to drop
it right in front of them too. They look at them, they make them like go into like a daze. They kill the person, then the other people snap out of it and they go, oh shit. And the kids just look at them like, okay, let's go. And they start walking down the street.
Yeah, but like Russia,
that's cold.
Russia murdered all their children with nuclear shells.
Fucking crazy.
Like and shit like that. This movie is dark. The British know how to make some dark ass horror
films. You have to. I mean, I feel like when you're involving the elderly or children, you have to take it to that level, or why involve them?
Yeah.
Because if it's just something subtle, or you're just like a simple kill off, it's like it's not really. You want it to be something that's more meaningful, or really like stand out and really mess with you. And even as old as this film is, you can kind of see how it mess with people back then, at the very least, compared to the '95 version, which is of course more up to date and a better film. But just with those powers, like imagine kids with those powers. He's like, "Oh, do your homework," and it's like,
they should have took them out while they were babies.
They didn't.
Put them in a microwave.
An argument.
Oh, there's no microwave. Was there a microwave? No, maybe not. Drown them in the river.
And this for the time, these were very taboo arguments.
Mm-hmm.
That everything that they kind of brought up in this movie on how to deal with this stuff that was not being talked about in 1960.
That one dude came back from the military. He thought his wife cheated on him. Like, you pregnant, you whore.
Yeah, but how would you explain something like that though? Like, how do you just come home pregnant? Like, oh, I just woke up.
Well, for one, if he waited 10 more minutes, he would have noticed the rest of the women in the village were pregnant. Like, something's up here.
You know what would be even better if he did notice? and in his stupid 1960s voice, he's just like, "Hey, what's this all about?" And he's just like, "Where's the guy who did this?"
Oh my
Just
god.
punching on a wall like an angry Irishman in a John Ford movie.
That'd be wild. One dude going there to get everybody pregnant.
I know a guy.
Yeah, me too. That'd be fun.
Well, imagine seeing this film in 1960, any audience in itself. This is one of the first films that uses the idea of our spawn going against us.
Yeah.
What is more frightening
How do
than
you
your
handle
own children controlling you to the point that you are in fear? That, that in itself is probably one of the scariest things, because, and I think the film, and I mean, yet again, to John Wyndham for being just this amazing science fiction author, I think does this beautiful job of conveying in this situation the fine line between, this is an invasion, we don't know what this is, this has to be bad, mixed with the emotion of, well, these creatures, whatever, weren't asked until as far as they knew. And I think Gordon is one of the great characters in science fiction, in the fact that he is so rooted in science, but it is also him that continually pushes for the humanity of these children and not to question the humanity.
Yeah.
And, he does fight this to the bitter end, where he has broken the code, and David, the leader kind of the, or the voice of the children, kind of plays a game with him, and basically gives him an answer and assumes that he's not going to get it, and he did. And he decides he's going to kill himself by blowing up the schoolhouse that the children have requested that they live in. Also, at this point, he was put in charge of finding places for them to go, basically, so they just turn their head and that's it. The town is fine. But he doesn't do that. He visualizes a brick wall. He visualizes nothing, because the ESP qualities and the ability for these children to read minds, and also in a hive manner. Yeah. So Gordon is, I just think he's just this amazing character, because he is the man of science, but he is also the one that's constantly like, wait, these are living beings. We may not know who they are, but we at least need to look at them as that. So, he's the hard science guy, but he's also the one who is the most sympathetic to living creatures, which actually makes sense, and that's the way scientists should be, but it's not how they're usually portrayed, especially in films at this time.
Yeah.
Love it.
And then them kids are some scary motherfuckers too, though.
Mhm.
Like, no, seriously, like, how would you deal with that? What are you gonna do?
I'm going on a punching spree. These kids are going to learn the old-fashioned way.
Yeah, you see?
The way I learned.
Yeah, until they do that mind shit and have you punching yourself.
I'll just picture a brick wall.
Just picture a brick wall the whole time.
Yep, then I'll drive them into it with my pile
They
driver.
have to sit there and stare at you. So, like, if you bob and weave and don't let them get their eyes set on you too long, you should be all right. Keep moving.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh man.
Hey, that one kid, David, though, for a minute there, like, you're watching it, you're like, does this kid actually care for them?
Such a good
Because
Great
he acted,
film.
he acted a little bit different than the
Oh,
rest.
wonderful.
David?
Yeah.
I thought there was a reason for that. I can't remember what it was though.
I know he was like, it seemed like he was the leader, but they all supposed to have like no emotion. But some reason he still felt like he was like, that's why he trusted his father. He like went to him. It's like he let them get away with it a little bit more.
Well, like also the fact that he is the one showing the most humanity, and he's done it enough. And of course, this being a hive mind, although in the book it's a two hive mind because all the boys think for themselves and all the girls think for themselves. But he is the only. See, this is the thing. They are acting out of fear. They are acting out of doing what we would do, which is staying alive. That's how they're acting. And it's that little that's what makes this film really, really special in the long run. It's those little nuances in a conversation at the end between like David and Gordon that you get this feeling like, wait, he's even giving him hint. He's cracked him. He's cracked that part of the hive mind. And yet again, to his argument, don't just give up on them because you don't know who they are. But when it's finally at the point where, okay, well, there's nothing, then, you know, I'll sacrifice myself for humanity. So,
Yeah.
So that's what you have to end up doing: sacrifice for humanity or leave.
yeah.
Why didn't they attempt to teach him right from wrong?
What's that?
I mean, it might be. It's honestly
Like, hey, you can't do that. Why are you killing people? Don't do that. You could just handle it, just like talk, or you don't have to fucking straight up because someone looked at you wrong. Make them get in a car and go crash in the fucking brick wall. You're like, God damn.
Because ultimate power is pure corruption.
Exactly. And you know, it in the book or the novella, it doesn't necessarily happen that quickly, but there are some things addressed that I guess filmmakers think are obvious. Is the fear of what they could do was much further in the past than them killing somebody. Like if you put one of them in a car in the book, your car, once it hit a certain point, would stall out. And it would not go anywhere until it was taken back because they never wanted to leave. And it didn't take people long to figure out that there was something about the children. So,
shit. I feel like the damn Children of the Corn should have had these damn powers. It'd have made it a better franchise.
You want to hear a
I
fun
never really
story?
cared for that movie.
What were you saying?
You want to hear a fun story about Straight Jacket? I watched that movie with Jennifer Tilly
Oh, very cool.
at the Florida Film Festival. They played it at the Enzian Theater, and if anybody's in the Orlando area, it's actually in Winter Park. It's a great independent theater. It is lovely, wonderful. They always did the Florida Film Festival there, and I got to work it a couple of years, and she was there. She was a guest, and it was a late night showing. And the way they had it, they had tables, like little tables you could sit at, order food or something. I know that's a lot more popular now, but back then it wasn't. And she was like right here, and so we were talking about the movie. Like we weren't together. We didn't go to see the movie together.
Yeah,
but like she would talk to me. She was like, "So what do you think about the movie?" And like got into it. And like she is not only one of the nicest human beings I've ever met. Fascinating. Like she knows movies. She knows like she's just so smart. You know. So I wanted to give her a lot of praise too because I think she's fantastic.
Nice.
So,
that's
all I got.
That's awesome. It'd be cool to see that movie too. I've never seen it before, so it'd be.
Were you married at the time?
No, that was a while before I was married.
You didn't try to make a move?
I don't. It wasn't that. If it, like I didn't like it wasn't like that. Like she was just such a wonderful human being to me. I just enjoyed the moment of being able to connect with another human being like that. It may sound dumb, and yeah, I get it. She's beautiful woman. Like don't get me wrong, but it wasn't. I love moments like that in my life. Like I have a lot of them where, yeah, maybe it could have been this or it could have been that. And it's not just sex, but like playing a part into it and things like that, where it just ended up being an amazing experience. And it could have been this or it could have been that. And that could have been fun for the moment, but I'm glad I got what I got.
Nice.
And that was one of those moments.
Oh, that is cool.
No,
I would have turned him like, what the fuck? Cool. Okay.
Well, it's just nice when you're dealing with celebrities to have any kind of, you know, connection with them that they just show they're normal human beings.
Mm-hmm.
And that's always, you know, well, it's unfortunate. I wish I could say that it's the norm. It's not necessarily the norm, but most people you discover, you know, you'll find yourself in a random conversation with at a certain time, and you're just like, wow, that was just a really cool conversation. And it totally, I mean, it takes your admiration for that person from here to like here. But it also, if you have an interaction with a person that you don't expect to be an asshole, it does the opposite. So, and I'll keep those for myself.
No, I fair. I mean, listen, we're all going to have that. That's why I don't love interviews. I don't really like doing them. I know I can. I know I'm good at them or whatever. And I'm not tooting my own. I'm just saying, like, you know, I'm capable of doing them. But my problem with them is, like, I've had very fortunate experiences with some celebrities in my life, just working in the industry, that they were real moments. And like I said, you can hold on to those more than like being at a, like, I don't know how to like put it, but I don't want to sound like pompous or anything as I'm saying it, but like, I like that better than like, so what are you working on? What are you doing here? Like I don't want those fake moments.
Because it's more personal. That's more like a job.
Yeah,
so I don't want to sully that by meeting somebody and just being like, oh, they're not into this.
I can see that. That makes a lot of sense.
So that's kind of where I'm at.
It's just honestly, it's just like how just better conversation in a sense, because it doesn't feel like it's forced.
Yeah.
It doesn't, you know what I mean? It just feels it's more relaxed and it's just an honest, hey, how's it going? Blah blah blah. Whatever you talk about type of deal. Sometimes interviews go that way too, but just that natural conversation or whatever is just, I get it. I get it.
It's where I'm at.
But Village of the Damned. What do you guys rate this movie? James?
I'm giving this a 6.
That is a fair score. I actually believe I am like right there with you, honestly. A 6. How about you, Trevor?
9.5.
I
Mick?
am there with Trevor with a 9.
9?
I think this one goes down, and Trevor made some great points about why. It really is an effective horror movie, and I do agree that it is a sci-fi movie, but there are so many wonderfully horror elements to this. And if I could equate it to something else, that's an A-list movie, in my opinion, and in my opinion, one of the greatest movies ever made, The Third Man. And the only thing I'm equating to that is because that is a movie. It's such a great film noir, and film noir already has parallels to horror anyway. But that movie intersects at moments with horror that better than a lot. I'll be honest, better than a lot of horror movies that I've seen. So, like, just because it's got such a great brilliance to it. And this movie is sort of shines with that as well. You know, I'm not going to put it on the same level of filmmaking, but it is they do such a wonderful job with this.
Well, it does. I mean, of course, you know, so in its root, it's a science fiction film, but it also was one of the first science fiction films. And yet again, I said it's very different. It's not the, you know, exception to the rule, because there are American examples, but it's one of the first times that science fiction is presented in a way that it's also supposed to give you certain levels of personal dread. Like a lot of science fiction is, you know, either nuke or Red Scare influenced, and, you know, it's usually, you know, this is a invader from Mars, and of course, that's an allegory for communism and all that kind of stuff. This is a film that really goes after things like, control of one's own body. That's a major thing that it touches upon. It touches upon the idea of generational gaps in an extreme, because you got to look at, Gordon and Alan are all from a time period in which they had put in actual, like war time for, Great Britain. And now they're raising, or their town is raising, these children that they don't even know. And they just happen to also have the power to destroy you. So it's got so much personal meat there that it's hard not to be a horror film. And it's so much that this is the film that started the whole subgenre of the killer kid. I mean, this is the killer kids, but it also opened the door for a lot of killer kid movies prior to The Exorcist, which changed that also in The Omen.
Nice.
Yeah,
And
like Alien, this is a sci-fi horror.
Yeah, because you didn't have a lot. Yeah, you're right. You didn't have a lot. I think like The Bad Seed was like the one before this, right?
And that, yeah, I mean,
but there wasn't a genre of it, and that is a heavy genre. And I think it attribute, because like if you go back to The Bad Seed's a very good movie, but it's a very good movie in the way that horror movies are. Like that's a full on like horror.
Yeah.
So this movie elevated it, that status for me. Like, I think this is the movie that's going to spark, and why we get so many wonderfully done children horror movies now. Which now I think I want to do a wheel for.
Right? Children horror movies?
Yeah, that'd be fun.
I think it would be fun too. But I know there was a couple of movies you mentioned earlier that you showed me, or that you sent me earlier, Trevor, you wanted to mention, which I do have them right up here. Sorry, I'm kind of blocking you off, Mick.
You're good, dude.
Well, I just wanted to bring up a couple lesser known killer kid films.
Which this cover looks cool.
Yeah. So if one of the things you really liked about Village of the Damned, whether it be the remake, the original, which we didn't say, but it made amazing amounts of money, and its sequel, Children of the Damned, also made amazing amounts of money. But Children of the Damned and The Bad Seed are the two films that started off the genre of the killer kid film. So here are a few that are some of my personal favorites. And this is Kathy's Curse from 1977, a very straightforward kind of exploitation film, but it is quite gruesome in some ways that you wouldn't expect. And it's just a very solid film for a very, very low budget. So I highly recommend that, especially if you like The Bad Seed, because this is the only single child movie on this list.
Oh, wow.
So
nice.
Next is one that sometimes gets overlooked, but is a killer kid film, and that is The Brood.
I've seen that.
Yeah, this is one of David Cronenberg's greatest films. Oliver Reed is in the film. This film actually has some connection to Village of the Damned in the fact that the children are being produced through some kind of potentially protogenesis, or it's not a typical birth. And these children are manifestations of their mother's trauma, and also a lot of hoopla that has been put into her head. This is a very scary film in the way Village of the Damned is, because the children are also virtually faceless. They're just children.
That's a gnarly movie.
Yeah, so excellent film no matter what. If you're into body horror, killer kid films, Canadian cinema, The Brood is a must.
Love it.
Nice.
Now, this is one that is rather hard to watch, but it's very, very well done. And it's Quien puede matar un niño, or Could We Kill a Child? And this is a Spanish film that is about this couple that goes to an island and things seem strange, and they get stranger and stranger until they understand that the children have virtually killed everyone on the island and they are next. Highly recommend that film. From the year
Oh,
I was
I've
born,
seen that. It's Scene.
1976. Yeah,
Oh, I've
48
seen
years
that
ago.
movie with the couple
Amazing
goes.
film. Yep.
That is a brutal freaking movie,
Yes.
man.
It is brutal as fuck.
Oh, sir, you got to add that to your list. Good call, Trevor. That's a fucking winner, dude.
Wow. Yeah, I may. I
mean,
gotta.
They all are, of course. And I didn't mean to interrupt you, and I apologize, but
That's a great movie.
I gotta see my theme of like what I have going on, what I have planned out for 2020. What's next year? 2025.
How about you get a little bit flexible?
But for some I will, but for some they're gonna be locked in.
So afraid of children.
Yeah. So The Children is a guilty pleasure. It is sleazy as fuck. Came out in 1980. The effects are horrible, but it is one of those films that, even though it's extremely low budget, and there's this wonderful sense of dread, and there's this really bizarre thing in which the parents, like, if they touch their children, they like burn alive. And it's just really surreal and bizarre, but it's one of those super indie 1980s films that has so much heart in all the wrong ways that I can't not give it some kind of push.
Jesus.
I love it.
No kid touching in that movie.
Yeah. And then the final one I want to point out is called Devil Times 5, or sometimes called People Toys. This was made in 1974. I have to say, if you're looking for a killer kid film that is smart as fuck, this is the film. It's 5 kids that end up getting out of a small bus from an insane asylum, and they just literally go about entering a town and living what they think mentally they should and shouldn't be able to do. And it's dark, it's slightly gruesome, but also it makes some very interesting social commentary. And that is, in my opinion, the most amazing aspect of independent horror is its ability to take social, political sides or concepts and use horror as a way of covering up what in most people's minds has to be obvious. I mean, greats like George Romero and stuff like that, have to be pointed out for doing that. A lot of killer children's films, there's already that subtext of, generational fear, and also, fear of growing older, and, so yeah, there's an amazing amount of subtext in that subgenre, but these are some films that I highly recommend. And yet again, as Mick said, How Could I Kill a Child, or How Could You Kill a Child, is probably one of the most grueling, but also it's beautifully made.
Well, I'll say this: like, I looked at the IMDb because I'm definitely gonna check this movie out. Thank you. And yeah, Devil Times 5. But just so if anybody's looking for it as well, there's like 3 other titles just on the first page. So it's
People Toys, yeah.
The Horrible House on the Hill.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess a foreign title is Acoso Mortal.
Wow.
So interestingly enough, it looks like a really interesting movie. I can't wait to check it out for sure.
I
Lee
do have
Garrett, isn't it?
I do have one movie recommendation, and this is actually one that's from my whole TikTok thing. As you guys know, I did Sturtoween last month with the foreign films, and this month I'm doing black and white films over on TikTok as well for the whole month. And including this movie, out of all the movies I've watched, this one has been my favorite.
Oh, cool.
And it was
nice.
a first time watch. But the
Great
Devil
film.
Bat,
Devil Bat.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Bela Lugosi, the Devil Bat, like watching Bela Lugosi as the character in this and the character in Dracula, hands down, I like him in this so much freaking better.
And
And
by this,
I did enjoy Dracula. Do not get me wrong on that, because James, you know I'm not crazy about vampire movies.
Yeah.
I did enjoy the original
Does not
Dracula.
like vampire movies.
Can I interject? I'd love for you to check out the Spanish version of Dracula too.
I
Very
was
good.
trying to find that. I couldn't find. Because that's what I actually originally wanted to do. I couldn't find it, so I was like, I'm still going to do a Dracula. But this here was just, it was so dope, and what it made me think of when I was watching it was, in a sense, kind of was what was it, Man Bat from the Batman the Animated Series.
Mhm.
That was like my first thought. Not exactly the same, of course, because in this it's a bat and the other guy the Man Bat, but just similar concepts in a way. And such a fun freaking film. Such a fun freaking film. Just with the aftershave concept of that, the scent of that, and just all. And on top of that, it's a revenge. Like, it's a really cool revenge film.
Mhm.
You don't even think it's a revenge film until you.
Yeah, it shouldn't be revenge. He did it himself. He fucked up. He chose the money. He didn't sign the paper to
But-
go with them.
It was one of those things where they knew what they were. You know what I mean? It was like,
I don't know.
sign this kind of. We know in the back of our minds, we know we're going to be making $5 million. You're going to be making $50,000.
Don't get me wrong. They should have gave him more than $10,000. They should have gave him like, hey, this blew up more than we thought. Here's a bonus, and they should have at least made him like a contract, a
Yeah.
partnership, or give him a lot of money.
But
Are you
he,
Bela Lugosi?
Yeah,
Okay, so at this point, so this is films like Devil Bat and stuff like that fall in an area of Lugosi's career in which it was really starting to take a nosedive. This is a great film. White Zombie is a great film, but and this is ironic, some of the best Bela Lugosi films are dual starring between him and Boris Karloff. The Raven, The Black Cat, is just acting toward of forces. And this is the thing. I mean, Devil Bat, and there are several other films that are really, really solid, awesome films. But it's really sad because, it didn't end well for Lugosi, and a lot of that was addiction, and So this is a great film, Devil Bat. Island of Lost Souls is a very small role for him, but it is one of his best.
Yeah, that's a good.
Yeah.
I want The Raven was another one I wanted. I just couldn't find it, so I'm just.
Mhm.
That was another one I wanted to see because I love Edgar Allan Poe, a big fan. So
Definitely getting the Corman.
I'm like, I want to do some of his movies, of course, especially if it's black and white, if I can find them. But yeah, the Devil Bat though, that was one of those. It was a fun surprise. I can honestly say that was like a happy, fun surprise. I'm like, I'm real happy I came across this movie. I'm
going to sandbag you on this one and say you need to watch Ed Wood after you watch Plan 9.
Ed Wood.
Even if you just watch it. I'm not saying you have to review it. I'm saying you should watch it after you watch Plan 9.
I'll check it out. But
He's not going to check that out.
no, I will. You just got to remind me, but I will.
I did remind you.
Well,
so Ed Wood's his name.
when you see that I've checked out that, because the what is it, Planet 9, I have that on my list as far as movies to check out to do on a TikTok thing.
So Ed Wood is the director. Ed Wood Jr. is the director of Plan 9 from Outer Space, which was for the longest time wildly famously known as the worst movie ever made. I have arguments on that, but it is bad. It is a bad movie, but a beautifully well done. You'll love it. Watch it. Bad movie.
Mm-hmm.
I suggest the riff tracks of it. It's very good. Tim Burton made a movie called Ed Wood about Ed Wood making Plan 9 from Outer Space. And it's a really well done movie that complements well with Plan 9 from Outer Space. And I think
it makes you appreciate Plan 9 from Outer Space so much more.
Yes.
Because I think it was like the Golden Turkey Awards or whatever. that ended up with Plan 9 from Outer Space being considered the worst film ever. And it really isn't.
Blood Lake is.
It's pretty darn bad, but it's also an interesting document of extreme independent filmmaking. So, where, like Manos Hands of Fate is definitely a worse film.
Yeah.
Although, I mean, Torgo is the bomb, but it is so much worse than Plan 9 from Outer Space.
Oh my God. My favorite scene in Ed Wood is when because they get George the Animal Steel to play Torgo. And it's so in the scene, they react to a scene where he bumps into the wall and shakes the whole set.
Mm-hmm.
And my favorite line in that movie as a fucking filmmaker, this is one of my favorites of all time, is when he says to him, he's like, "Hey Eddie, he bumped into the set on that one, and he bumped into the wall and shook the set on that one. You want to do another take?" And he goes, his answer is straight up like, in real life, he'd have to deal with those problems every day. And he just moves on. It's one of my favorite lines in movie history. That's just how his mind worked. He was like, "We got the shot. We're done. Let's go."
Oh, man. I'm getting myself into some shit.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
I'm getting myself into some shit. But, wow. Real quick, though, back to the black and white stuff. I've just been enjoying it so freaking much.
I love it.
So freaking much. It's kind of brings me back to just back in the days of just after everything was off on TV and you're watching Nick at Night and you're watching Bewitched and The Monster, all them other shows, everything that's in black and white, and when you start watching that like as a kid. Or the days you didn't have cable and the black and white shit was on. You're watching that as a kid, you just kind of grow up and you're still
Andy Griffith Show.
You just end up enjoying it. You're just like, holy shit, this is at least maybe with us 80s babies and
No, I agree. The reruns, the old reruns, that's what we had. All
right, let's go.
Honeymooners, I Love Lucy.
At this point, a lot of these movies were very cheap to license on television.
Yeah.
So, overnights in areas where you had traditional broadcast channels, they'd buy up all these kind of movies really, really cheap, and they'd play them in the middle of the night. So, or they'd put them all stripped on a Sunday. And, a lot of stations had horror hosts. And, that in itself,
Thank you, Zachary. Rest in peace.
Zachary was actually one of the first horror show hosts I got into.
That was so good. Out of Secaucus, New Jersey.
Yep.
He used to
I had
go
a
to Chiller Theater.
3-hour VHS that I played to death. That was him just playing old sci-fi and horror trailers and making fun of them in between.
He's how
I actually stumbled upon this because I used to have it on VHS. It's actually on Tubi. You can find it.
Nice.
It's Zachary something.
He is he used to go to Chiller Theater in New Jersey all the time. They had a fucking throne for him, man. And you had to. He was Zachary. And everyone in that horror convention, and this is back in the day, early 2000. So and everyone knew, like, that's the respect and where that came from. And Zachary was the first person you saw when you walked in that door up until he died. And even the year, like one of those shows afterwards, when he died, and they kept his chair there.
Nice.
Just to kind of like it was really well done. But I met Joey Ramone. It was either Joey or Johnny, man. So because I met every Ramone separately in my life. I never, so like, and I think it was it was Johnny Ramone I met there because that was the first Ramone I met right before he died. He was there and he would sit next to Zachary because they were friends. And I just
not the band, the Ramones.
Yeah,
that's what you said.
I met every
Ramone. Oh shit!
Yeah, I met every Ramone separately, and at different venues. Like it was different times in my life, so it wasn't like something you'd remember. Like, but it was Johnny was at Chiller Theater. I don't know. Joey came to show the theater later. They weren't together. This was after Johnny died. So I think I met another one at Chill the Theater. I don't remember who. I have autographs somewhere. Have fun.
Nice.
Anyway, that's all I got. Sorry. Ramblings of
No,
an
you're
old.
good. You're good. You're good. Nice. But
That's the real experiences that I fucking love. You know, that's what I'm talking about. Like, I love the fact that they were so. Like, I love when horror, real, honest horror fans respect the past like that. Putting Eckerly in the front, knowing what he started and what he brought to TV for us to become horror fans. This became a genre because of horror hosts. I truly believe that. You know, it did exist, but it became popular because of horror hosts, because people got to see more. So I respect Zachary for kicking that off. And I know, what's her name? They say she's the first one. She's not the first one.
I mean, horror hosts in themselves, it's an extension of Forrest J. Ackerman, because Forrest J. Ackerman, of course, you know, if one could argue anybody who did the most for horror is definitely one of them, because of Famous Monsters of Filmland and how it just, you know, became the Bible for everybody who liked creatures and monsters. The horror host and the regional horror host took that one step further with the television age, and that really, you know, it's, you know, it became, you know, the horror host who was over the top and everything was also that person at the time that was also gatekeeping what you were watching critically. So they were, you know, your introduction. So
I love it. That's a great point. I appreciate it. Like I didn't really would have thought of that. I'm very like high and excited. So
high and excited.
So my emotional responses may seem all over.
High and excited. I like it.
And tired.
Right there
Let's
with
throw
you.
tired in there.
I'm right there with you. Not really as tired as I was earlier, but I'm good now.
Jokes are tired. Oh,
Jesus.
I'm very excited to talk Straight Jacket next week.
Yeah.
Same.
Because we mentioned Ed Wood. William Castle is a very fascinating filmmaker, and I think we'd even discussed Matinee on here. Matinee is kind of the expanded version of what if they made a William Castle movie.
yeah.
That was William Castle.
Those gimmicks were all at him.
Yeah.
He was the genius.
He was the genius.
And there's a great documentary about him that I think everybody should check out, which, ironically, I saw for the first time at the Florida Film Festival. I believe it was the one where I saw Straight Jacket. So that's irony right there. There's a connection for you. I connected.
Jacket.
There you go. I'm your emotional journey on this movie ride.
That's the emotional journey ranger.
You're immersed. Yeah, I know. I threw the hat. I'm a Sherpa now.
No longer a ranger.
No, I'm a Sherpa. I have a llama.
But you're still Ranger Mick.
I do it to see who will laugh.
He's still Ranger Mick to us, though, people. He's still Ranger Mick to us. And with that said, we are going to get out of here. All of our links are in the description. You can check Ranger Mick out over on the Scene Snobs. You can check Uncle T out, our foreign correspondent, Ambassador Media, James and I over on the Popcorn and Pints. And you can check us out right here every Thursday at 8 o'clock Eastern Time through the month of November, doing some black and white stuff. And next week, Straight Jacket. You have yours on? You got mine? I lost it. I'm telling you, I lost it. Let me be honest with you. I didn't lose it. I gave it away.
Only you can prevent forest fires.
I don't think so. I don't have enough piss.